Welcome to an incredible story that will inspire you and improve your English skills at the same time. Today, we're diving into the life of Albert Einstein, a man who changed the world with his ideas and courage. As you listen, focus on the new phrases and vocabulary I'll introduce. This is not just about learning English, it's about learning how persistence and curiosity can lead to greatness. So grab a notebook, pay close attention, and let's begin this journey to improve your listening, expand your vocabulary, and find motivation in the life of a genius. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in a small town called Ulm in Germany. His parents, Hermann Einstein and Pauline Koch, were ordinary people. Hermann was a businessman who worked with electrical parts, while Pauline was a homemaker who loved music and learning. When Albert was born, there was nothing extraordinary about him except for one small detail. His head was unusually large. His family even joked about it, wondering if he would grow up to be a normal child. Little did they know, this boy would grow up to change the world. Albert was a very quiet child. He didn't speak his first words until he was almost 3 years old, which worried his parents. Some people thought there was something wrong with him. His family called him the quiet one because he rarely spoke, even when other children around him were chatting away. But Albert wasn't quiet because he was slower, he was quiet because he was always thinking. He would sit for hours observing the world around him as if trying to understand how everything worked. When Albert was 5 years old, his father gave him a small gift that would change his life forever. It was a simple compass. At first, Albert didn't understand how it worked. How could the needle always point north no matter how he turned it? He became obsessed with this tiny object. He stared at it for hours, trying to figure out the invisible force that guided the needle. This was the first time Albert realized there were unseen forces in the world, and he wanted to discover them all. He later said, "That experience left a deep and lasting impression on me." When Albert started school, things didn't go well. He didn't like the way his teachers taught. Back then, schools were very strict, and students were expected to memorize everything. But Albert wasn't interested in memorizing facts. He wanted to ask questions and find answers. His teachers often got angry with him. One teacher even told him, "You're a disgrace. You'll never be successful in life." These words hurt, but Albert didn't let them stop him. Albert struggled with some subjects, especially languages, but there was one subject he loved more than anything: mathematics. He called it the language of the universe and enjoyed solving problems like puzzles. Despite his struggles in school, Albert's family believed in him. His mother Pauline noticed his love for music and encouraged him to learn the violin. At first, Albert didn't like practicing, but over time, music became a way for him to relax and think clearly. His uncle Jacob also played a big role in shaping his mind. Jacob loved math and would teach Albert in a fun and creative way. He once told Albert, "Math is like a treasure hunt. Every problem is a clue that leads you to the solution." This playful approach made Albert fall in love with numbers. Albert wasn't like other children. While others played games, he spent hours reading books and imagining how the world worked. He loved stories about great scientists and often dreamed of making discoveries of his own. One day, while walking home from school, Albert asked himself, what would it be like to ride a beam of light? This question stayed with him for years. It was the beginning of his lifelong journey to understand light, space, and time. When Albert was 15 years old, his life took a difficult turn. His father's business failed, and the family had to move to Italy. Albert stayed behind in Germany to finish school, but he hated being away from his family. He felt lonely and unhappy. Eventually, Albert decided to leave school without finishing. He couldn't stand the strict rules and harsh teachers anymore. Instead, he started studying on his own. He read books on science, philosophy, and mathematics, teaching himself everything he wanted to know. This was a risky decision. Many people thought he had ruined his future by leaving school, but Albert didn't care. He believed that learning was more important than following rules. At 16, Albert wrote his first scientific paper. It wasn't perfect, but it showed his incredible potential. He also applied to a prestigious school